had the craziest realization this morning, and I can't believe that I'm doing this. I realized that I was going against my values, going hard against my values. And I'm going to sit really close to my camera because it's apparently too dark in here. So hopefully we'll be okay. All right. So I am a teacher, right? And it's really, really important to me that I play a role in changing the beliefs that students adopt. So this whole idea started, well, it's been going on for quite a bit. When I went into college and I started learning about anthropology, linguistics, the body, mental illness, comparison mindset, like I started learning about so much. Oh, religion, culture, like all of these things, they opened up my mind so much. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't I know this before? Why didn't I have this knowledge before? And this idea that we're only exposed to a certain number of ideas and beliefs, and a lot of those things are actually unhelpful. We're socially conditioned to believe certain things. And I really became so interested in the idea of anthropology and cultures having different belief systems than Americans. I really, and that's normal. It's normal to realize that people think differently than you based on the culture that you're in, but we kind of learn to judge other cultures. We learn to judge the behaviors and the habits, the cultures of other places, when in fact they're doing it right. But then again, who's fucking doing it right nowadays? I mean, really, who's doing it right? We've always had the same problems throughout human history, but regardless, when it comes to human health, there are beliefs that are more conducive to health and a better lifestyle that aligns with the human body. So anyways, after my divorce, I went to the most amazing therapist on the planet, and she told me that something I could start paying attention to was my body. And not in the sense that I needed to take care of my body, but she said, pay attention to your bodily signals. And I was like, what is that? I have no idea what that is. Basically, it's the little signals that your body is spewing out to communicate a need that's not fulfilled, a desire that's not being fulfilled, a value that's being jeopardized, and a boundary that's being crossed. The body and your intuition as well. This is what I discovered. My body was always communicating, and my mind was always communicating my desires, and my intuition was always telling me the direction to go in. It was giving me a vision that I was just ignoring and suppressing, blah, 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 blah. So she said, oh my God, there's so much I want to say. She said, pay attention to your bodily signals. For example, like when you have this less than neutral feeling, that's a bodily signal. If you are like kind of like itching or scratching or doing some kind of like ruminating movement, it's a bodily signal. If your room's a mess and normally you're a very clean person, that's a bodily signal. If you're ignoring text messages, that's a bodily signal. That is a signal that something is off and it requires your attention. Your mind wants to talk to you about something, and it wants you to challenge whatever is going on in your head, because whatever's going on in your head isn't serving you, and it's trying to say, hey, pay attention to me. Something is going on in your head. It's not serving you. It wants to be changed so that your life can reality can bend to what you want it to be. So she didn't say all of that, but that's what I got from it. And I was like, oh my God, the body is so important. We learn to suppress our bodily signals, because guess what? 99%, well, I wouldn't say 99% of the time, but a lot of times the bodily signals that are trying to get us to change something are really uncomfortable. And we learn to suppress that. We learn to ignore it. We learn to avoid it. We learn to hate it. We learn to shame it. We learn to blame it. We learn to guilt it. Oh my God. We learn to just suppress it and ignore it and not listen to it. It's valuable information. I was really angry that I had learned to suppress my body and my bodily signals, and suppress and limit that communication between my mind and my body and my soul, when those are literally always the answers to everything. And I was like, if I listened to my body years ago, I probably wouldn't have gotten married. I probably wouldn't have started dating the person I was with, because I actually like the body has so much information to give us. If I was aware of my body's signals, I would have been able to identify my needs more easily, which is everything. I would have been able to identify my desires and then own them and be proud of them and fulfill them and make them a reality. I would have recognized boundaries. I would have said, oh my God, my body is showing me that I just crossed my own boundary, or I'm allowing someone else to cross a boundary. I could have acted on that. And then I could have recognized my values, and I could have said, oh my gosh, I know what my values are because my body is showing me. Now I can go find a partner that aligns with my values and amplifies and complements my values. There's so much information from our bodily signals, and we are just taught to suppress it. And I said, society, part of the role in bodily suppression, I'm part of the cause of bodily suppression is the way that society teaches us and ingrains certain beliefs in our minds and our brains based on practices, behaviors, and lifestyle choices that we learn to make. And guess what? What happens when we learn to suppress our body and ignore our bodily signals, all of that? We treat it as bad. We view it as bad. Well, guess what? In adulthood, we have no idea who we are. We turn to drinking and other unhealthy coping mechanisms and unproductive ways of dealing with our emotions and our bodily signals. Instead of listening to them to provide guidance, we just turn to really unhealthy behaviors that perpetuate the lack of health and lack of productive, just lack of health. Our bodies start to turn against us, and then you wonder why we have so much disease, so much pain, which we learn to suppress even more. You know what I mean? And then so much unhappiness and lack of fulfillment in our lives. We are taught to be disconnected from our bodies, and I always said from day one since my divorce, I was like, society needs to change. The way that society is structured needs to change in order to create a lifestyle and society and culture that allows us to that aligns with our bodies. So like lifestyle that aligns with our human bodies. Instead of sitting for like 8 hours a day in school or work, we should be active. We should be involved in the community. There should be some sort of setup to where our bodies, we're not going against our bodies. We're moving with our bodies. We're flowing with our bodies. We're aligning with our bodies. And society and culture and all of these things should teach us to connect with our bodies, connect with our minds, connect with like the outside world and nature instead of staying within four walls, because we are animals at the end of the day. We need those basic things like sunlight, like movement, so on and so forth. That would create a healthier society, and it would allow us to seek guidance within ourselves, seek fulfillment and validation within ourselves. And that is the epitome of life. And you have a much more fulfilling life if you align with the mind and the body, and then also the soul. I believe in the soul, intuition, so on and so forth. I realized something. As an educator, as a teacher, I felt that I played a very significant role. If I'm being paid to stand in front of a room full of children, I have over 140 students. I impact 140 students a day. I have the chance to play a role in the beliefs that they form. Not only about themselves, because a lot of like my teaching, at least like my vision for teaching was like, oh my God, I need to inspire these kids, empower these kids, but also ingrain very helpful beliefs that model healthy coping mechanisms, how to tune into your mind and body, and then how to also be inspired to live a life that's authentic and fulfilling and where you believe things are possible for yourself. While also learning things like discipline, respect, motivation, intrinsic motivation, right? All of those very, very healthy things that create and produce a productive society, right? So I was like, okay, education. I see kids for 8 hours a day. I clearly I clearly have a very important role, and I could be pivotal in a child's life, even if it's just one. So I've been brainstorming for years about what a classroom would look like if it was conducive to living a healthy life, where society was moving in a positive direction that was healthy and aligned with the human mind and body, and also was protecting the planet and recycling and not wasting and learning respect for humans, for animals, and for the environment. What would that look like? I've been thinking about that for years, but really more importantly, the past 2.5 years. And it really comes down to the little things. It comes down to the little habits. You would be shocked by how important the little things are that you model to kids. Kids are sponges. They take in everything you say and everything you do, and that's on purpose, because the first 10 years, first 15 years of life, your imagination is highly active. And honestly, it would be longer if we didn't suck the imagination out of children. But you are learning, you're absorbing language, you're absorbing societal and cultural ideals. It's on purpose. And so what you feed them and show them is really important and really crucial. It comes down to the little things, because kids, and like you too, make meaning out of everything. We are semiotic humans and beings. We're semiotic beings who make meaning out of inherently meaningless things. So it comes down to the little things. A lot of people would be like, don't sweat the small stuff. You're going too deep with that. That's too deep. Like, no, I promise you, it's definitely not. Here's why. So I was thinking about the fact that as adults, right? Again, it all comes down to, as adults, what do you have to unlearn in order to feel healthier, more fulfilled, more successful, more loved, whatever? The fact that we have to unlearn things is bullshit, and it's literally pointless. Why are we teaching kids something that they have to eventually unlearn in adulthood? That's crazy, that's dumb, that's backwards, it's silly, it's unproductive, it's pointless. Let's not do that. Let's change it. Let's change society. Let's change education. Let's change all of it. So I was thinking about adults, and my students have this as well, which is just really upsetting and terrifying, but restrictive habits on the body, restrictive eating, honestly, we'll start with that. Restrictive eating. I have to skip a meal a day in order to get the body that I want. How can I manipulate my body to look how I want it to, so that I feel good about myself? How I can get a partner that loves me. Haha, that's an ironic statement. Because if they loved you, they would love you for who you are, not conditionally, like you have to lose weight. No. Absolutely not. If you're with a partner that's making you feel bad about your weight or the way that you look, leave immediately. Anyways, I had some thoughts, but I'm like, okay, yes, no, we'll say it. Of course, making you feel bad about it might be a reflection on your behalf, and you might be interpreting it that way. Your partner, maybe, I don't know, they're trying to implement some positive eating habits in the household, and maybe you're interpreting it that way. In that case, that's some healing for you to do on your part, but that's completely normal. This is a completely different situation. I'm talking like if you're with a partner who is like making you feel bad about like the way that you look, fuck them, leave. Anyways, yeah, restrictive behaviors. When I go to the gym, I have to be hard on myself so that I can lose that weight. I have to hit that number. I have to skip a meal. I can't even go to the bathroom during certain times at work because I need to get this work done. It's restricting your body. It's disconnecting you from your body. All of those things are disconnecting you from the human vessel that is like so imperative to your success on this planet and your survival on this planet. We're learning how to disconnect from our bodies from day one. And those ideas, those thoughts in your head that, I have to lose this weight, I have to skip a meal, I have to be rough when I do my skincare because like I'm mad at my skin for not looking the way that I want it to, I have to go hit that number at the gym, I have to lose all this weight, I have to be hard on myself, I have to do this. That is all learned. And it starts from childhood when we teach restrictive habits, or we teach them that their bodies are not that important. It creates a disconnect between you and your body. When your body is literally the most beautiful thing on the planet and it loves you so much that it keeps you alive in every way possible. I mean, my God, it's storing fat in your body to protect you, to protect your organs from negative chemicals that are produced by negative thoughts that are also impacting your immune system. Like, honestly, a lot of the disease and the weight gain is from having, hateful thoughts about ourselves. Like, we don't even realize how imperative it is to have a healthy mind if we want to have a healthy body and a body that looks the way we want it to. We could lose weight like that if we were nicer to ourselves. Like, it's true. But anyways, I'm also not a doctor. I'm also not a health professional. So of course, like, sure, do your research, but like, it is, you look at any neurology book, you look at any coach nowadays, they're going to say change your mindset around weight loss and health and disease. If you want to change your body, look at the mindset. But anyways, we're getting off topic. I realized I was contributing to restrictive body beliefs that could translate into other unhealthy, restrictive habits in the future. I noticed that my lack of classroom management in the very beginning was like turning into all sorts of things. Kids wanting to, for example, go to the bathroom to avoid doing work, or because they're bored, so on and so forth. So I started to say, if they asked to go to the bathroom, I would say, like, get this done and then you can go. Of course, it is teaching to them in a sense, like, okay, I'm avoiding something, like, let me actually not avoid it and just do it. But it doesn't really help, because it's like, that student that I just said no to going to the bathroom to is going to sit down, look at that work, and not want to do it even more, because their thoughts about the assignment literally didn't change. And now they're like, well, I just want to leave, but I can't leave. And now I feel like I'm being forced here. Like, I don't care if anybody's listening, any educator or principal or parent or whoever is listening and is saying, like, well, it shouldn't matter. They should change their mindset around it. They should just do the work. Okay. But anybody who's been forced to do anything knows very well that it doesn't work. And here's what it's teaching kids. If I say, okay, do this, and then you can go to the bathroom, it is creating conditions around when they can't execute a bodily function. Even if they don't have to go to the bathroom, it's still communicating that idea to them. The focus is now being shifted from their bodily functions in their body to the work that they can produce. Like, what you do for me, what you produce for the world, what you produce for the class, what you produce in general is more important and more highly regarded than your body. Because you say, like, let's say a kid really does need to use a bathroom, that's what it's communicating to them. And whether or not they actually have to use a bathroom too, it's still communicating that to them. The focus becomes, I need to produce and prove my worthiness in what I create, and I need to prove my worthiness that I've done enough in order to go execute a bodily function. So now they have to focus on work. What do I have to do to get to connect to my body, or to get to just to listen to my body? What do I have to do first before I listen to my body? I have to produce, I have to create, I have to pump something out. And then honestly, they'll just bullshit, show it to me, and then I'll be like, all right, well, okay, just go then. That's not what I am here to do. That's not what I'm here to do at all. This pattern that I'm now creating in my classroom can be immediately bypassed by acknowledging that it exists right now. This pattern exists. Students have associated their body with a scapegoat. I can use my body as an excuse to avoid something. That's also unhealthy. That's a whole separate conversation. We shouldn't use our body for anything than what it's being given to us for. Our bodies are not objects. And it seems like it's not that deep, but it is an ingrained mentality, and it starts with the little things like this. Not only am I not addressing the avoidance, because kids will avoid something for a series of reasons. They don't feel confident in the assignment. So that's an opportunity for me to teach them, instead of when you have a thought, I'm not good at this, your body wants to get you out of the situation and wants you to avoid that assignment. But the avoidance doesn't really do anything to that thought process, does it? Because you come back to the assignment with the same thoughts. The thoughts have to change. Avoiding it only maintains the existence of that mindset and that sense of self-worth and capability. Confidence is the belief that you are capable. And so I have the opportunity to address that with the class, saying, hey, if you're trying to avoid your work because you don't feel confident about the assignment, here's how you can think about it instead. Number 2, if my students are trying to avoid an assignment because they are bored, I am going to be like, oh my God, we get bored. That's okay. But don't lie to me about it. Don't lie to me about it. Don't use your body as a scapegoat or an excuse. Heck no. Tell me, Miss Star, like, hey, I need a walk. I need to get some energy. I'm feeling a little bored. I can do something about that. But don't lie about it. Just tell me. And then also it's an opportunity for you to be like, you know what? I'm a little bored with this. Here's what I would like to experience with this assignment. Because what I put in front of my students, I take the time to think about, and I make sure that it's not pointless. I am extremely thorough and thoughtful with the assignments I choose. But are they always the most exciting? No. And I can definitely do some reflection on how I can make it more engaging. And that's, as a teacher, that's my responsibility to do, and I want to do it. But like, it engages the kids in a discussion. Like, if you're bored, don't use the bathroom as an excuse. Like, talk to me. What would take this to the next level? Let's think of something together. And then lastly, because I put thought into my assignments, if you're bored, it might also be the reality that you're simply not engaging with it, because you could gain something with it if you just allowed yourself to try. But if you're blocking yourself from trying, that is something that we can fix, and that's something that you should reflect on. All of that is much more productive than just restricting my students from using the bathroom, disconnecting them from their bodies, and then also not addressing the thoughts that are the root cause of the avoidance in the first place. And I could go on about this, but holy shit, what a realization. So this is just the beginning of the conversation. But really what I realized is, like, I'm going to discontinue that immediately and allow that to be an opportunity to have a discussion with my kids. Because they are, as a teacher, if I have a role to play in changing the beliefs that they learn and absorb now, and I can play a role in them not unlearning something in the future as an adult, then I've done my job. I don't even care if it resonates right now. I don't even care if it sinks in, not for another few years. I've done my job. And I am so satisfied with that. And I'm so happy because I know the impact that I am making. Whew, we love it. We love it. And so that's that. Honestly, if you have thoughts on this, comment. But I could definitely continue with this. I could continue this conversation.